Hello, people! Welcome to the BBC YouTube channel. I should take this opportunity to briefly describe what recruiting agencies are, how they operate, and how they are compensated. Outside companies called recruitment agencies go out and find potential employees for employers. Employment agencies should not be confused with recruitment agencies. The primary distinction is in who becomes your employer. A recruitment agency makes you an employee of the employer if you accept the position. In the event that you work for an employment agency, you do so as an employee. If you want more of this content, BBC member, subscribe to the BBC YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. Although there are employment services that provide IT support staff to businesses, professional engineering positions are often filled through recruitment agencies. Why do employers use staffing firms? It takes a lot of effort to recruit employees, and many businesses struggle to find a time to do it well. An employer frequently has to review a large number of applications before he discovers the ideal candidate for the position. Recruitment is very much a numbers game. Although it may seem awful and impersonal, it is the way things are. Recruitment firms meet a particular demand. Employers need the proper applicants for their open positions. But they sometimes lack the time to go out and discover these candidates themselves. They delegate this to recruiting companies so that the company can focus more of their time on conducting interviews with candidates. In the UK, agencies play a significant and crucial role in the recruitment process for the computing sector. At least one of your first 3 positions in the business will likely be obtained through a recruitment agency. How do they function? Employers provide agencies with lists of open positions, and the agencies post advertisements on online job sites and occasionally elsewhere. Additionally, they are constantly scanning the online job listings for fresh CVs. If you've ever taken the time to browse through a job board on the internet to see the open positions, you've definitely noticed how few job postings include the name of the organization that is hiring. The reason for this is that the agencies are concerned about not being paid because they would lose out if you apply directly to the company if you saw a position you wanted. Some services will alter the resume you provide and send it to the employer. This is, incidentally, the primary justification for why many online job sites only accept resumes on Microsoft Word format. To avoid having to pay the agency, some may just insert your resume into a template that they have created, omitting your personal information in the process. No respectable agency will alter the information on your CV without your consent. Employers and agencies don't often get along. Agency work. Is it for you? Do you even need to work with a recruitment agency? There is no need to use a recruitment agency if you know which employers you want to work for and they accept direct applications. There is no advantage to doing so, and since there is no intermediary through whom all communications must go, you might discover that you prefer dealing with the employer directly at all times. Particularly later in your career, when you're vying for more senior roles, the better recruiting agencies can be a huge assistance in getting hired. They have the ability to follow up with a tardy employer in a manner that a direct candidate frequently cannot, and if they have previously had success working with the employer, they may have an excellent sense of what the employer is seeking. However, it must be acknowledged that many employers merely put up with recruiting firms. Because of the frequently significant staff turnover found in recruiting firms, it can be challenging for an employer to establish a fruitful long-term partnership with the firm. Without such collaboration, businesses frequently feel that recruitment agencies don't fully comprehend their requirements, and companies frequently struggle when trying to work with agencies to make things better. Employers pay significant fees to recruiting firms as well, which they frequently resent, whether rightly or incorrectly. However, there wouldn't be as many of them if recruitment agencies weren't important and helpful. There are good agencies and terrible agencies, just like in any other field, and it can initially be challenging, even for seasoned professionals, to tell them apart. I advise verifying the agency's membership in the Recruitment and Employment Confederation, the only trade organization recognized by the industry specifically for recruitment agencies. To find out what other individuals have lately said about the agency, you should also use Google. There are frequently other agencies out there advertising the same function or one similar to it if you're not satisfied with what you find. When an agency has an exclusive deal with an employer, this regulation does not apply. The employer in this case has chosen to utilize a single agency for all hiring, and all applications must be filed through that agency. If so, you should be able to find out by visiting the employer's website or giving them a call. Employers often dislike agencies that offer them improper or uninvited applications, referred to as wallpapering CVs. Since the employer hasn't agreed to payment conditions with the agency and doesn't want the inconvenience of an aggressive agency trying to invoice for money that the business hasn't committed to pay, it may be very difficult for you to persuade those employers to look at your CV once an agency has done this with it. I suggest dealing with each agency individually and keeping track of which businesses you have applied to via which agency. Always inquire if the agency is a preferred supplier for the company you are applying to. Ask via email so you have a record for their response. If the agency is a preferred supplier, the company will take your application into consideration because they have previously agreed upon payment conditions. In case the agency is not being truthful with you, you should also contact the employer directly by phone or email to confirm that the agency is in fact a recommended supplier before you apply. One of the three things normally happens if the agency is not a preferred supplier is that number 1, the employer will take your application into consideration and the agency and employer will agree on payment conditions. Number 2, although the company does not commit to compensate the agency in any manner, they do examine your application. Number 3, as a result, the employer decides not to evaluate your application since working with the agency would be too difficult. You have no way of knowing what will transpire in this circumstance because it frequently depends as much on a personality clash as it does on financial considerations. If all possible, avoid this circumstance and steer clear of any agency that you discover to be misrepresenting their preferred supplier position. How are they compensated? Each candidate a recruitment agency recommends who is hired by the company receives payment from the employer. Some agencies are paid a flat charge, while others are given a fee dependent on your starting pay. They don't require any payment from you, and you should never work with a hiring company that does. Recruitment agencies play a slightly different function in contract placements. Here, the agency typically receives a portion of the compensation that the employer's company pays for your services, referred to as the agency's rate. Instead of billing the firm directly, this is typically accomplished by the firm paying the agency and you giving the agency bills. To ensure that you are not mistreated in any manner, it is usually worthwhile to learn the agency's rate. Early career contracting used to be practically unheard of, but this is gradually changing. Your company can save time and money by using a staffing agency to discover skilled workers. A staffing firm serves as a liaison between businesses and job seekers, assisting in the matching of competent applicants with organizations that have openings. Working with a staffing agency can save your firm time and provide other advantages, such as flexibility and less legal concerns if it wants to hire more workers. A markup that normally varies from 25% to 100% of the recruited employee's salary is charged by staffing firms. A small business's hiring process takes time to complete, reviewing applications, Conducting interviews and setting pay demands valuable time from a business owner's routine responsibilities, which may ultimately harm the company in the long run. This is why some employers cooperate with staffing firms, who by supplying individuals for unfilled positions significantly reduce the time and effort required to find candidates. Although dealing with a staffing agency to fill your employment needs isn't always the best option for businesses, you should be aware of the procedure. A staffing service finds candidates for companies looking to fill certain positions. They assist businesses in filling a variety of positions, including direct hire, temp to hire, a temporary assignment with a defined start and end date, and temporary to hire, a temporary assignment intended to assist a temp worker's long-term fit with the organization, a permanent position in which the staffing agency acts as a recruiter. The agency will normally post the position on job boards like Indeed and other places where job searchers are likely to look if it doesn't already have a readily available and qualified candidate in its talent pool. Through professional networking sites like LinkedIn, where they can limit search results by keyword, job function, area, industry, and more, the firm can also get in touch with eligible individuals directly. When employing a specialized individual with a certain skill set, this strategy is especially beneficial. The organization will then accept applications, have interviews, and if necessary, do background checks, just like any other company would. When the ideal applicant is identified, they are employed to work for the organization, except in the case of direct hire positions. The staffing company issues the employee's compensation and any perks that may be provided, but the company decides how long the employee will stay there for. By pairing qualified current employees with open positions or advertising open positions to qualified job searchers, staffing companies assist in filing temporary, temp to hire, and direct hire positions. For many small businesses, it is still difficult to find skilled employees. In fact, 69% of worldwide employers, a 15-year high, said they are having trouble finding employees with the ideal combination of technical, soft, and personal abilities. A staffing company can assist your company in overcoming that difficulty. The procedure usually proceeds as follows when you decide to engage with a staffing agency, since you need new employees. The staffing firm is contacted by the employer. You should first get in touch with a staffing company that specializes in your field, providing details about the position's requirements, the number of employees required, the time frame for hiring new employees, and the hourly pay or salary. The job description is made by the agency. The staffing company then creates a job description for your company and advertises it. If there is a particular applicant who would be a good fit for the position, it might also get in touch with them directly. Candidates are examined by the agency. The hiring company evaluates applicants' expertise and credentials when they start submitting applications for the open position before setting up and holding interviews. Then they decide which candidates to recommend to your company's recruiting manager are the most qualified. The employer makes the final decision. The hiring manager or business owner might interview the top job candidates from the staffing agency before making a final hiring decision. By doing this, you and your employees are able to save time that would otherwise be used to screen several applicants. The agency is in charge of the paperwork. Most staffing companies handle all the administrative tasks involved in finding new employees, such as contracts, taxes, and other payroll-related responsibilities. Typically, staffing companies want 25% to 100% of the new employee's salary. As an illustration, if you and the employment agency have decided on a markup of 50% and the new hire makes $10 per hour, you will pay the agency $15 per hour for their labor. You can be required to pay additional costs for filling the position or contract buyout costs if you decide to hire a temporary worker permanently, in addition to the markup you'll pay. Staffing firms have developed into a vital resource for sourcing talent quickly and effectively as employers increasingly resort to part-time, freelance, and temporary workers to fill their workforce gaps. Here are just a handful of the numerous advantages a qualified staffing firm can provide for your organization. The hiring process is longer and more challenging now than it was in earlier decades due to the significant changes in the employment market over the last several years. It is quicker and simpler to work with a staffing firm. One benefit of using a staffing agency instead of delegating hiring duties to a member of your team is that it frees up that person's time to focus on important role-specific activities. A staffing firm may concentrate on the hiring process because that is what it does best. However, if your staff members are required to use some of their working hours to screen and interview multiple individuals, it may disrupt their daily routine and lower productivity. That issue is resolved by staffing agencies. Many businesses are delaying recruiting for full-time employees, according to A.J. Brustein, co-founder of an on-demand staffing platform, Wanelo, for a number of reasons. Leaner operations have a significant impact on this. Companies are attempting to increase productivity by only employing people when they are really necessary, according to Brustein. They must discover measures to guarantee that every dollar they spend benefits the company. Using temporary employment enables them to just have workers on hand when they are actually needed. Employers are starting to understand the advantages of having a flexible workforce that can be dynamically altered to suit their hiring needs on a continuing basis. According to Jason Leverant, President and Chief Operating Officer of National Staffing Franchise at Work Group, over 90% of businesses are having trouble filing positions owing to a skills gap, according to Monster's Future of Work Report 2022. A specialist staffing company can ease the process of hiring a specialized worker with certain skills. That's it for this video, BBC member. Remember to subscribe to our channel. And if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person, as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon.